Various MOUs have in fact also been signed between both the nations. We are getting information, we are getting reports about which exactly sector these MOUs are on, and we are also getting to know that Prime Minister Narendra Modi's short visit to the UAE has in fact yielded major returns for India. Now, during his meeting with the UAE leadership, several key agreements and investment decisions have in fact been announced today. And the two countries signed a framework for strategic defense partnership. Other major plaques include an MOU on strategic petroleum reserves, an agreement on long-term supplies of liquefied petroleum gas or LPG, and an MOU for setting up a ship repair cluster at Vadinar. In a big boost to the Indian economy, investments worth rupees 5 billion US dollars were also announced in infrastructure, RBL Bank and Samman Capital. Ambassador, we are getting to know about these sectors, these MOUs that have in fact been signed between the two leaders. This is massive because we are looking at a strategic defense partnership like you pointed out. We are looking at also an MOU on the strategic petroleum reserves. That was that had made a lot of headlines when this entire energy crisis had hit the world 2 months ago. And everybody was calculating if India will be able to manage the strategic reserves along with the consumption that it has on a daily basis. So now India is diversifying. It's making sure that it increases its strategic reserves. We are looking at MOUs to in fact build the two other ports that we have, where we wanted the storage units, the storage places where we wanted more of these strategic petroleum reserves, and that MOU now has finally been signed. We are looking at diversification of LPG gas supplies. An MOU has been signed in that sector as well. So a lot of different topics were on the agenda and they have been finalized, sir, in just a short while.
Yes, you are absolutely right. As you mentioned just now, there's a long list of the agreements which are being signed right away. In fact, the most important would be, from our point of view, the strategic reserves, both of petroleum as well as LPG. In fact, we have 2 months strategic reserve for crude petroleum, and it was felt this time that this should be enhanced. And there some people are of the view that it should be at least 4 to 6 months. China has about 6 months of strategic reserves, so that even if there's a prolonged war, we can sustain our economy without any problem. On the other hand, the LPG was the real constraint because our reserves of LPG were very, very short. It was not more than 15 days. And that was one constraint we really felt. And that constraint will be addressed by the government now by enhancing the storage capacity of LPG as well as the crude oil. Then the next important point would be the framework agreement for defense cooperation. I think that will enable not only export of our defense equipment, but at some stage there would be some sort of stationing of Indian troops in some areas in the Middle East. That will help us to give or convince UAE about their security as well as to have our access to the region without any problem. Like you see, the Pakistan has an agreement with Saudi Arabia. They call it Mutual Defense Cooperation Agreement. But in addition to that, they have already stationed about 13,000 troops in Saudi Arabia. So I think, in my view, the India should consider some small contingent of troops to be stationed in UAE at some stage. That would be very, very important from security point of view and our access to the region. Then, of course, the trade and investments which have been announced, $300 billion worth of investments in infrastructure sector in India are very important. I think we must look at these investments. Our infrastructure needs upgrading. A lot of investments have come in, but I think these investments will further help us in upgrading our overall infrastructure in variety of ways. And industrial, what we call Atmanirbhar Bharat, will be possible only if we upgrade our infrastructure more, if we promote manufacturing with new investments in India, and we promote
Right.
our exports, particularly defense exports, to the countries where they are possible, in addition to the normal goods
Right,
and
Ambassador,
service exports
I'll
which we
come
are doing.
back to you to discuss this. In fact, we are putting out a tweet that has in fact been posted by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on his social media account over here. So, we can see that as soon as he landed, as soon as these agreements were in fact signed, we see a social media post that has been put out by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And he has in fact written that he thanks his brother Sheikh Mohamed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, who is the president of the UAE, for the special gesture of receiving him at the Abu Dhabi airport. I look forward to our discussions towards further strengthening India-UAE ties across key sectors like energy, investment, supply chains and more. So, obviously an iconic moment when we witnessed the president of the UAE actually welcome our Prime Minister right outside the plane. As soon as he disembarked, the president was in fact standing there to welcome him. They in fact embraced each other as well over there, and that's what the social media post of our Prime Minister Narendra Modi also points out, that he is in fact thankful for that special gesture of receiving him at the Abu Dhabi airport. So, that's the tweet that we have played out right in front of you. He has also said that he looks forward to these discussions regarding energy, investment, supply chains and more. And like we have been discussing with the ambassador, MOUs have been signed for strategic petroleum reserves. We are looking at a strategic defense partnership as well, investment of investment in infrastructure and RBL Bank as well. So, a lot of different deals currently being discussed over here. So, this is something that we have in fact seen, and this is the social media post that the Prime Minister has put out right after he landed in UAE. All right, Mr. Srivastava, if I can also come to you regarding the outcome of this 4-hour trip that the Prime Minister has in fact made to the UAE before he embarks on this journey to the other European nations.